consider trading Rudy after this year?
No.
Huh?
You keep it like this. You
Shit, with the way Nas Reed playing, you trade Cat
You trade Cat
and get another big piece. Hell yeah.
You trade Cat before you trade Rudy?
Yes, the way Nas Reed playing.
Nah.
Yes, bro.
I'm trading Rudy before I'm trading Cat.
Yeah.
Towards the end of his career, Kevin Garnett, as we know, played with the Minnesota Timberwolves. And during that time, he had a lot of positive quotes to that young core at the time with Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins. And as you see on the screen, Karl Anthony Towns looked at KG as a mentor, right? He really, really believed in the squad. And on top of this, Kevin Garnett was also, I think there was rumors about him buying into some ownership with the Timberwolves or getting a front office job. That didn't end up being the case because of some other things that happened. I'm only saying all of this because Kevin Garnett obviously has a very, very genuine interest, especially when it comes to the Timberwolves, his old team. Speaking of old, let's go to one of his old teammates, Kendrick Perkins, who we all know as of recently said these comments about Rudy Gobert, tarnishing the Defensive Player of the Year award. I don't expect Perkins and Kevin Garnett to agree on every little thing. However, because Kevin Garnett prided himself on defense, and this is something that Perkins talks about himself in his playing days, and these guys being teammates winning a championship, for him to say this about Rudy defensively, I wouldn't be surprised at all if KG feels this way too, which is probably a part of the reason why he's more comfortable in trading Rudy as opposed to somebody who he was fond of, Karl Anthony Towns, when they were playing together. Here's the thing though, the Timberwolves just made the Western Conference Finals. They had the best defensive team this regular season that just passed. They didn't get swept, and that was something that Anthony Edwards joked about in his short career. He's never been swept before. An argument could easily be made, don't touch this team at all. Edwards is 22, his best days are ahead of him. Keep moving forward and build on what you have. Now, there was times where I'm watching the Timberwolves offensively, and I'm looking at Karl Anthony Towns, and he's shooting a lot of three-pointers, right? This is something that Charles Barkley mentioned. Anyone who's watching, I believe, could easily see that. And he was struggling a lot. To me, he looked very, very great when he was actually driving to the basket and attacking, scoring layups, playing aggressive and getting off the line, and then mixing it up every now and then to keep the defense honest and not be too obvious with his game. But one of the reasons why he's at the three-point line a lot is they're trying to space the court. You got Rudy Gobert in the paint. Rudy doesn't have the best offensive repertoire. He can't step out and shoot threes or even a mid-range. You got to really keep him near that paint, maybe in that dunker spot. And as a result, Cat got to stretch it out a lot more and be a stretch big. In Rudy's defense, no pun intended, this is not always a bad thing. Sometimes teams are so eager to sag off Rudy that he ends up getting a lot of easy baskets near the rim to the point where I think it's detrimental. Like they're sagging off of him too much and he's getting too many easy layups and dunks. On the flip side, if that's not happening, then it's like the Timberwolves are playing 4-on-5. And that's where the offense could look a little bit stagnant and it puts a lot more pressure on Anthony Edwards. There's a few adjustments to me that you could make without trading either of them. You could, run pick and rolls with Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert. They did that seldomly, not a lot. That could be an option that you try more. Or you could do like high-low post action where Rudy is at the top of the paint and he's giving a pass down low to Karl Anthony Towns in the post. Just different scenarios where Cat is not at the three-point line just shooting all the time. But let's say all of this doesn't work out and now the team is really looking at trading one or the other or just making some type of big move. Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes in that full clip went on to say that you could get more for Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert. I do agree with that in principle. Karl Anthony Towns would look like the more overall talented player. Let's keep in mind though that both of these guys are on huge contracts. It may still be hard to trade either or, especially to get back equal value, which is why I understand the argument for trading Cat instead. You're giving up more to get back more in a sense. And whatever they get back, I would assume it would be role players, maybe some draft picks. Then you got to ask yourself, is that the direction that you want to take? Are you willing to come back a few steps in order to move forward a lot more? Perhaps that's not a bad thing. Anthony Edwards is 22, so you definitely have the time to do that. I'm still of the mindset that you let this rock out. Don't do any trades. Keep moving forward. Jaden McDaniels is 23 himself. Nas Reed is 24. You have a core here. The only concern, if I'm a Timberwolves fan, is Mike Conley. He's 36. He may end up retiring soon. if you do any kind of trades or player acquisition, to me, you got to find a starting point guard or have one in the making, a defensive guy who could come in and play make and try to replace what Conley does. That's all I got for y'all, man. Let me know in the comment section below how you feeling. Do you think you got to trade Rudy? Do you got to trade Karl Anthony Towns? Who do you believe you could even get back for these guys? Give me some names I would love to see. Or are you with what I was mentioning earlier? You keep this roster moving forward. Try to build on what you have. Let me know. And as always, salute for listening. Peace.